Shalom, shalom, Israel, shalom. His brother Raya, I want to give all honor and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, Ba'ashima Mashiach, wa Malak Yahweh Shai. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty brothers that go out there and labor on the highways and byways, making their body living sacrifice. In the rain, the tumults, the demons, the uprises, the uproars, they're out there standing 10 toes down for the name of the Lord. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty brothers that are not out there as of yet, but they're building themselves up. Reading, praying, fasting, being diligent, doing everything they could do to put themselves in a position to go out there to shake the hand, to wake up the hopeful elect. Another strong shalom to all that are mighty akwaf in this thing, that actually reverence their husbands, being teachers of good things to the children at home, being quiet, shamefaced, submissive, loving, steadfast, cooking, sewing, cleaning, doing all of the righteous acts of our foremothers. Another strong shalom to all that are mighty akwaf that are not married as of yet, but remaining shamefaced, on fire for the Lord, magnifying his name in the ministry. And last but not least, another strong shalom to all of the children in the nation that are abstaining from all lust, concupiscence, and peer pressure, standing 10 toes down for the name of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. And another last but not least to all of the nation in the last days, abstaining from all wickedness and vanity, for thus saith the Lord. Now, this is going to be an in-depth breakdown on the workings of the flesh. The spirit of the flesh manifested, man. Because we often go into a lot of things, prophecy, common knowledge, right? We go into geography, and we go into a lot of things, but we often fall short to go into the fruits of the spirit and the workings of the flesh and things that make you the damn demon, man. Things that make you a spirit, things that throw off your spirit, things that jack you up, things that hinder you, from doing the truth. And that's what we have to dive into through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua and the precepts and the etymology. You understand? So let's kick it off through the spirit. Well, I'm about to share my screen. And brothers, let me know, and sisters, if you could see my screen. All right, give me a con if you could see my screen. All right, con, we in it. Let's go to the book of Romans, the first chapter. Right, it's the book of Romans, chapter 1, and I'm going to start at verse 28 to kick this thing off. And it reads, it says, and even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a reprobate mind to do those things which are not convenient. And a lot of those things, by not retaining the Most High in our knowledge, the Most High gives us over to those things, man. Hey, the Lord will give you a strong delusion. The Lord will jack up your spirit and have you doing God knows what, man. Because you didn't hold yourself diligent in the fear of the Most High God. Let's go to the book, right, of Isaiah chapter 66. It's Isaiah chapter 66, right? I'm going to zoom in a little bit so brothers can see. And verse number 4, and it reads, I also will choose their delusion. And the delusion isn't always you think you're climbing up a building. You're the only one there. Then you get attacked by helicopters and all manner of creatures. That's not always what a delusion is, man. You think something crawling on you, but it's actually not. A delusion is thinking you're in this truth when you're really not. Being a hypocrite, doing all of these different things, which essentially is a delusion on you, man. Women have delusions, men have delusions, children have delusions. It's not acceptable to just men or just women or just children, man. Any and everybody can be taken down by these demons and spirits at any given second by a delusion of the mind, and will bring their fears upon them. Because when I called, none did answer. So essentially, the Lord will overthrow you with a delusion when he calls you and you don't answer. And that's deep when you think about it. Because the Lord calls you to the ministry. The Lord has called you to be a submissive wife. The Lord has called you to be a submissive husband. You understand? Unto the ministry as well as your household. The Lord called you, you understand, to be a virtuous child. The Lord has called you to be an apostle, a teacher, a prophet. I mean, what are you called to do? And you're not answering to what the Most High has prescribed. It says, when I spake, they did not hear. Meaning they were rebellious. They were stiff-necked. They were stubborn. But they did evil before mine eyes and choose that which I delight not, man. So the Lord said, just because you didn't answer me when I called you can essentially overthrow you with a delusion, man. Now, reading on from there, I'm going to read on. Verse 29 of Romans chapter 1 and verse 29. says being filled with all unrighteousness. So when you get overthrown, the Lord doesn't overthrow you with a little something. He overthrows you altogether. If you have a demon in your house, the Lord will overthrow the whole house. If you have a demon attacking you, the Lord will overthrow your whole car. It's not just a swerve while you're in traffic. The Most High will get up with you, man. Fornication, wickedness, covetousness, right? Maliciousness, full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, whispers, backbiters, haters of God, disrespectful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents, without understanding, covenant breakers, without natural affection, implacable, unmerciful, who knowing the judgment of God. So all of these men, women, and children that go off with all of these attributes and traits, they know the judgment of God because the Most High called them. They know the precepts, they know the allegories, the similitudes, the mysteries, maybe even the prophecies. They have the understanding in geography. And they've literally been spoken once, yet twice, yet can't believe it or perceive it, rather. It says, who know the judgment of God, that they which commit such things are worthy of death. Not only do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them. So the Lord said, essentially, you could get put to death for just being proud, man. I mean, when you actually look at these traits that you could get put to death for, it kind of make you take a step back. Because it's a big spirit on smoking weed, eating pork, not having a beard. Do you have your fringes on? And all manner of doctrine. You understand? Although there are laws, but nevertheless, what about these laws that nobody talks about? Just being full of envy, hating your brother. You could get put to death for that, man. Hating your brother secretly. Having a debate spirit. That could get you put to death. Doing things deceitfully. For money, for gain, for respect. Right? And even whispering. You're sitting up here telling this person something this, and then this person takes that and tells it to the next person. Backbiters. All over the place. You're on from one avenue, now you're to the next avenue, just backbiting. Haters of God. And the hater of God isn't just talking about men that's putting their middle finger up to the third heaven. That's not what that's talking about. Because essentially in verse 32, these men know the judgments of God. They know the commandments. You essentially hate God when you do not do his words. You turn your back on the precepts. You don't take heed to what is written. And all of these things, somebody, somewhere in the truth is guilty of all of this, man. They've slipped up at least 3 times today with one of these traits. They went off this month. I don't know how many times with this. And we all fall short, man. We all go to hell off. But is that an excuse to be proud, to be a boaster, to be an inventor of evil things? You're just waiting for your brother to fall. Or you're secretly gambling in your mind and moving around things. Taking money from treasuries and being disobedient and covenant breaking and all natural affliction. Unmerciful when mercy needs to be shed and had, man. A lot of these traits befall each and every one of us. So as we dive into it, and we're about to get into it right now, this is the workings of the flesh. Now, this is the book of Galatians, chapter 5 and verse number 19. Check this out. Now, the works of the flesh are manifest. Meaning the Lord is about to declare to you the workings of the flesh. You may think you in the spirit, walking in the spirit of the Most High, on fire, reading, praying, fasting, being diligent. But essentially, there are a lot of workings of the flesh that attach themselves into our vessels. And sometimes they don't leave. Why? Because we don't examine that they're even on us, man. In order to fast something off, you have to do what? The Lord said, let me get this quick precept. Matter of fact, I want to leave Romans up. Let me get this quick precept. Let's go to 1 John. Chapter 1 and verse number 9. And it reads, if we confess our sins. So in order for demons, plagues, tribulations, iniquities, and things to leave us, we have to confess it. So if we don't know it, where does that leave us at, man? It leaves us in a world of sin, a world of hurt, a world of forgetfulness, a world that is lack of examination, a world that is preeminently around our flesh and our thoughts and our emotions, man, and our desires. So the Lord says, if we confess our sins, he is faithful and just to forgive us of our sins and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. So that's telling you one of two things, man. It's telling you in order to get those spirits and demons removed after you, you have to first examine that they're even there. Now, if you don't examine that they're there, then, I mean, brother, somebody's staying in your house free with rent. What if somebody just came home in your house, digging in your refrigerator, getting the pizza, eating up the pizza. He's slopping all in the lasagna, right? Cutting on the oven. And you don't even see him. You're wondering why your pizza's gone. What the hell's going on? My spaghetti isn't here. Damn, I thought I had cookies. I mean, I just put them in. I was going to bake them later. What the hell is going on? Somebody's living in your house rent-free, man. You don't even perceive it, understand it, and don't even care to figure out the matter. And essentially what happens, your house gets overthrown. Food disappear, rent goes sky high, water bill is through the ceiling. And that's how these demons are, man. They eat and attack our flesh daily, and they overcome us. We don't even perceive it that they're even living and taking advantage of us because we didn't examine enough to get them off of us. Because these are the workings of the flesh. Now, let's read verse 19. Now the works of the flesh are manifest. So this isn't a deep, dark secret. Well, you know what? We got the law playing upon tables, but the spirit, it's a mystery. No, it's manifest. Which are these? Adultery. Now we're going to tackle each and every one of these workings of the flesh. Let's go into that word adultery, right? And we're going to go pull up the etymology for each one of these. Because you may look at a word and be like, yeah, well, that isn't pertaining to me. Nope, you're checking them off the list. Nope, maybe. Yeah, I'll give the benefit of the doubt. Nope. And then you feel like you're justified. When in actuality, when you go into these words and see the similes and traits that befall this word and how deep actuality it really is of the things that you're actually doing, which is the workings of the flesh and death, hey, brother, that will scare the hell out of you, man. Well, maybe I am going off every day, on the hour, every hour, because I'm not examining a lot of things that befall me, man. Now, let's go into it. Idolatry. Chilakia. Before that, let's go into adultery. Right? And brothers know what adultery is, but we're going to cover it anyway. Right? You got adultery. Sleeping with another man's wife. Thinking about another man's wife. Undressing her in your mind. Things like that are off, man. We're about to go into it. Let's go to 2 Samuel, right, chapter 11. This is the book of 2 Samuel, chapter 11. And the workings of the flesh, they even befall the mighty, like David. Hey, David fell, man. Samson fell. Adam fell. Women can cause a man to fall. You read about that in Ecclesiastes, the 7th chapter. Right, we're going to get that next. It says, and it came to pass that after the years were expired, at the time when kings go forth to battle, that David sent Joab, his servants, with him and all Israel, that they destroyed the children of Ammon and besieged Rabbah, but David tarried still at Jerusalem. Now, why is David tarrying still at Jerusalem? Make this make sense. Why is David sitting up there tarrying behind, man? He should have been going to war too. You read about that in the law. Let's go to the book of Numbers, chapter 32. So David already was idle by not going to war. And idleness teacheth what? Evil. You have to always be occupied, whether reading, praying, being diligent, checking on a brother, on a call, in a group chat, on a damn meeting. You have to be teaching. Something has to be occupying your mind in the work of the Lord. And otherwise, like the Lord said, wine and women make men of understanding to fall away. This is the book, right, of Numbers, chapter 32, and verse, I'm going to get straight to the point, and verse number 7, right? I'm going to get straight to the point. This whole thing is fire, right? I'm going to start at verse 5. I'm going to start at verse 6. And Moses said unto the children of Gad and to the children of Reuben, shall your brethren go to war, and shall ye sit here? Meaning Moses is like, what are you talking about? It's time to go to war. You're talking about going to see the land of Gilead and doing God knows what for your cattle and flocks. when we have to travel over Jordan to get the land of Canaan to go to war to beat down these Canaanites, man. Because the Lord delivered that land into our hands. You're talking about going for land and relaxing and building up your cattle so they could do and enjoy themselves. Hey, literally Moses, his mentality was you have to go to war. You have to, man. This isn't a thing you do for fun. You have to befall and be there for your brethren as swords come out. So as David didn't go to war, what met him there? A spirit met you. And when you're not occupied in a certain matter, adultery may meet you at the corner. Whether it be distant from your husband, whether it be a lack of understanding and a spirit of discernment, and you put yourselves in certain situations, you're going to parties, you're having old friends, you're watching wicked movies, you're indulged in wicked sites, right? You follow wicked things on your feed. All of this is pulling you. It's a spirit, man. Social media, old friends, all of these things pull you. It says, and it came to pass at an eventide, and that's spiritual too, right? When the sun going down, that David arose, right, from off his bed and walked upon the roof, upon the king's house. And from the roof saw a woman washing herself. What are the odds of that? Just, you go outside and you see a naked woman out of nowhere. That's the ultimate level of lust and temptation, man. And the woman was very beautiful to look upon. And David sent and inquired after the woman. And one said, it is Slaki, is not this Bathsheba, the daughter of Elam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite? It says, and David sent messengers and took her. So David knew this was wrong. The mighty man of Israel, David, man, he fell short. And she came in unto him, and he laid with her, for she was purified from her uncleanness, and she returned to her house. So that woman caused the mighty man of Israel, David, to fall. So nobody's acceptable from demons. I mean, any and everybody fell short but our King and our Lord Yahushua, which glorified and manifested and beat down the workings of the flesh. Don't think the Lord didn't want this cup to pass him, man. Don't think the Lord didn't feel pain. Don't think the Lord didn't see wicked things, man, that could have befalled and enticed foolishness. Don't think that Satan didn't take the Lord upon a high pinnacle on a mountain and show him all the kingdoms of the world. If somebody's showing you all the kingdoms of the world, they're showing you sex, they're showing you drugs, gold. Don't just think that Satan just, it's a movie and the Lord got dizzy as he was on some pinnacle, man. If you're going to see every kingdom of the world, what do you see in America? That's just one kingdom. You see clubs, sex, drugs, money, gold, silver, fun, yachts. You see all manner of things to entice you, man. Gambling. These things befall a wicked mind to lust and seek after, man. And the Lord saw all of that. And I'm led to believe he was angry when he was looking at those things, man. And I shall worship the Lord thy God, and him only shall thou serve, man. And the Lord was cutting them up with the precepts and the law. So these flesh being manifest to our Lord in this body, it's hard to beat it, man. I mean, who has? We fall short by these things. It says adultery, but as falling short, it shouldn't be an excuse to go off. Shouldn't be an excuse to tarry and make excuses for your sins, man. You got what? Fornication. Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon. Right? Chapter 14. Let's go to it. You also got fornication, which is a working of the flesh. And you also got spiritual fornication. Right, let's go to it. It's the book of Wisdom of Solomon 14 and 15. Salakia. I'm going to start at, I don't want to read down too much. I'm going to just start at verse 12. Right, and it reads, but the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication. So in actuality, when you have an idol, it's spiritual fornication. An idol could be a phone. It could be a man. It could be a woman. It could be a celebrity. It could be your own mind, man. You can make your own mind your God, man. Because you serve each and every one of your thoughts, what you want to do. Your thoughts say to steal. and you say, Khan, I must steal. And you're serving it, putting that above the Most High. Essentially, anything that you put above the Most High is idolatry. And when you actually put it in that perspective, you see how deep this actually is. Idolatry isn't just a white man on the wall, just staring off with long, stringy dog hair and blue eyes, man. Painted by a wicked hand and stroke, which can never come to life and never cease to exist. These things aren't idolatry at the level of what the Lord is even talking about. And the children of Israel made meat their idol when they loathed for it in the wilderness, when the Most High already gave them manna. Wanting more and wanting more becomes to be idolatry at some point, man. You want a bigger house, you want a bigger car, you're working all day and night shift, you're sweating, all for treasures of this world, man. And you're putting those things before reading, before taking care of the house, before taking care of your wife or taking care of your husband, or even caring for your children. You put your goals. A lot of people have aspirations and goals, man. You know, my goal is in 5 years to go to school, get my doctor's degree, and flip the thing on the other side. That's their goals, man. And they're sacrificing things that they ought not for the goals of this world, man, which essentially becomes an idol because they're going against the Most High. Anything that you put over the Most High. And the inventions of them, the corruption of life, man. So it corrupts your life when you have an evil invention and an idol. And idols can be anything, man. Any and everything. Serving your phone, watching TV too much, lust, being slothful. All of these things you put above the Most High, which essentially is an idol, man. Right now, I want to touch on another working of the flesh real fast. And before we go to that, let me get another account. Let me go to the book of Exodus, chapter 32. It's the book of Exodus, chapter 32, and verse number 1. And when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down, and that's spiritual. You know, Moses is the leadership. Moses is the elder. Moses is essentially their shepherd, man, leading the flock. Now, as Moses delayed, a lot of people, they wax wanton with their eyes, their emotions, and their spirit. That's why you need somebody to lead you. Don't think you can lead yourself. I'll be okay. All I got to do is just believe in the Lord. No, the Lord set up people to lead you. He set up elders, disciples, prophets. And the Lord set up the prophets that we read about to lead us in the spirit to Yahushua. That's why we read Daniel. Daniel leads us to Yahushua. That's why we read Isaiah. Isaiah prophesies about Yahushua. That's why we read the books of Moses, man. Because it takes us to Yahushua and it leads us by the pen of a ready writer, like it says in Psalms. So these things, you understand, we need. It says, off the mount, the people gathered themselves together unto Aaron. It said unto him, up, make us gods, which shall go before us. As for us, for this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we want not what is become of him. So because they didn't have Moses to lead them right away, they start waxing worse and waxing worse and waxing worse. And what's going to happen essentially if you start waxing worse, man? Because the Most High didn't bless you immediately. Because you're getting sick of the situation that you're in. And you're going to start looking for things in idols. You're going to start looking to commit spiritual fornication by things that make you feel good, which is doing nothing but feeding your flesh. You have to feed your spirit, man. Let's go to 1 Kings chapter 12, right? And I'm going to go straight to the point. Right, this whole thing is fire. I'm gonna start at verse 25. Then Jeroboam built Shechem in the Mount Ephraim and dwelt therein and went out from thence and built Penuel. And Jeroboam said in his heart, now shall the kingdom return to the house of David, and this people go up and do sacrifice in the Lord. So like at the house of the Lord at Jerusalem. What's wrong with that? Then shall the heart of this people turn to their Lord, even unto Rehoboam the king of Judah, and they shall kill me and go again to Rehoboam the king. So because the kingdom was coming out of this man's hands, He sacrificed his life, the whole nation. He sacrificed his own flesh, man. He sacrificed everything just to please it and bow down to the spiritual demon Satan. Whereupon the king took counsel and made 2 calves of gold and said unto them, is it too much for you to go up to Jerusalem? Behold thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. So because he didn't want the kingdom to go into David because of envy, because of strife, because of wickedness, he wanted to become his own God. He wanted to serve his own flesh. So he essentially had all of Israel go off. Now, when you jump down in verse 32, it says, and Jeroboam ordained a feast in the 8th month. So not only did he go off with idolatry, he made a whole feast about it. He got the children of Israel, the torches, the lanterns, music, all to bow down to the spiritual demon, man. And on the 15th day of the month, like unto the feast that is in Judah, and he offered upon the altar. So did he in Bethel, sacrificing unto calves that he made, and he placed in Bethel the priest of the highest place, which he had made. And that's off, man. All to please him. All because he wanted to be king. Because he just wanted to feed his flesh. What are you feeding every day? Because you're feeding something. Are you feeding the spirit or are you feeding the flesh, man? Because something's going to get fed. And the more you feed the flesh, you see drugs, you see envy, you see hatred, you see the manifestation of physical altercations, you see the manifestations of all manner of lewdness, man. You know, and you start to see that spirit because it's manifested. You can't hide the fruit on a tree. It's only but so long that the Most High is going to have that thing grow before you declare if it's an apple, an orange, a pineapple, or what manner of fruit it is, man. It says uncleanness. Now that's going to the word unclean. Right? We're going to touch onto each one of these words. I didn't hit fornication, but it says sexual intercourse. Sexual intercourse with close relatives, Leviticus 18. A lesbianism, intercourse with animals, metaphor of worship of idols, right? So all of these things could be fornication. Now going into uncleanliness, it says in a moral sense, the impurity of lustful, luxurious, profligate living, impure motives. So having an impure motive. And what's an impure motive? Let's look up this word impure. Let's go into it real fast. This is what that word is going into.
Impure.
This is what it means. Corrupt, sinful, lewd, lasciviousness, dirty, wanton. And all of these are attributes of that word impure. Now let's go into it. Let's go to Sirach chapter 23. Because Sirach was even praying that the Most High doesn't overthrow him to the workings of the flesh. The workings of the flesh isn't something new that Paul came up with. These things are from old. And what do you think Lot was looking at when he was going through Sodom, man? All manner of lewdness and lasciviousness. And I'm led to believe he prayed over 40 times a day for the Most High to deliver him out of that situation. Noah saw that. And the men of the Lord, as they traveled through these diverse places, they sing all type of lewdness, man. It's the book of Sirach 23:1. O Lord, Father, and Governor of all my whole life, leave me not to their counsel, and let me not fall by them, who set scourges over my thoughts. Who does that? The flesh does that. Demons do that. Everybody has a scourge set over their thoughts once in their life, whether it's to think this, to move this way, to travel this way, to hate this person, to not accept that person. These are literally attributes that befall us through the spiritual demon Satan and the discipline of wisdom over my heart. So you have to have discipline too. You can know all the precepts, all the allegories, and all the similitudes, but not discipline your heart in the moment of adversity. That's what it all boils down to. Because nobody cares if you could quote a million precepts, but you know exactly what this dark saying is saying. If in a time of judgment, in a time of when it's brought forth in the fire, that it's not executed, that they spare me not for mine ignorance, and it passes not by my sins. Lest my ignorance increase and my sins abound to my destruction, and I fall before mine adversaries, and my enemies rejoice over me, whose hope is far from thy mercy. This is the point. O Lord, Father, and God of my life, give me not a proud look. So a proud look is sin, man. It does not the Lord say in the book of Proverbs 6 and 16 all the way down, 6 things doeth the Lord hate, and one of them is a proud look. Having a proud look isn't just talking about a model, right? You posing for the Vogue magazine, where you got your chin up, and the man holding the camera is just going like this. You're just moving it very slowly. That's not what that's talking about, man. A proud look is you're never wrong. A proud look is what Jeroboam had, man. He wanted a proud look to be king. He wanted preeminence. He wanted glory. He wanted to be on top of a mountain. He wanted that proudness of his heart to be manifest for all men to see, man, and fulfilling the lust of his desires. But turn away from thy servants always a haughty mind. Turn away from me vain hopes. And a lot of people, they trust in vain hopes, man. They trust in things that'll never change. Why are you trusting in stuff that'll never change? It's vain. Just a vain hope. Yeah, well, maybe I'll get that car out the shop. And most high willing, I get my car out the shop. Brother, your car's been in the shop for 5 months and the rates just keep going up. Now you owe the so-called white man $17,000. But you're just moping around, most high willing. Certain stuff is just vain hopes, man. Scratching a lottery ticket, hoping to make it big, get 3 houses, 14 cars, 19 kids, survive and hope that Babylon continues. These are vain hopes through our mind, which essentially is serving our flesh. Because we should want to immediately get out of here. We should want persecution to come to pass. We should want riots, uproars, famines, pestilence, and all manner of confusion to shake the earth. You know what that is? That's the birth pains. It says, and concupiscence, right, which is lust. And thou shalt hold him up that desirous always to serve thee. It says, let not the greediness of the belly or lust of the flesh take hold of me. And the greediness of the belly is you want everything, man. And everybody wants something in life. You may make music. You may play the guitar. You may play the piano. You may love to paint. You may love to sing or rap. But the greediness of your desires of your flesh may override the spirit. It may cause you to book 19 rap sessions and pull you away from the Lord. Singing might put a spirit on you. So now you're trying to get signed in a record deal. Modeling, if the Most High blessed you, you understand, you're sitting up there as if you're Absalom blowing in the wind, man. And Susanna and Judith in her beauty. Just greediness of the belly is overtaking your whole life. And give not over me thy servant to an imputed mind. And let's go into that word. Let's go into that word. We have to. Check this out.
Impudent.
Now, this is what that word, like Sirach said, don't give me this, man. Bold. Insolent. Brazen. Shameless. Impolite. Rude. Bold as brass. Insulting. Flip. Sassy. Nervy. Mouthy. Lippy. Saucy. And a lot of women are impudent, man. A lot of men are too. Cocky. Hey, Sirach said, man, don't give me these type of spirits, man. I don't want to be cocky. I don't want to think I'm the you-know-what, man. I don't want to sit here, even if I do look good, or even if I can dress, or even if I do have money, or even if I own 2 yachts, or even if I have 4 cars, or even if I have thousands of cattle, even if I have all of these things, don't give me a spirit to be cocky. Don't be saucy and lippy. Every 5 seconds, you got something to say. Just serving your flesh. Who is he talking to? What does he think this is? Just overthrowing yourself, feeding your flesh. And the Lord said, don't be too bold and too forward. You're always insulting people. You're being rude, impolite. A lot of these things, they overthrow and they hurt people. But the opposite of that is polite and respectful. So you should always strive to be polite and respectful. Don't say, well, that's not a sin. Well, brother, it could be, man, because you're feeding your flesh. So if you feed yourself over and over and over, yes, brother, that is adultery. So like it is idolatry, man. Because it's not about you. It's about your brother. It's about your sister. It's about the Most High. You're essentially a servant. So, I mean, he said that thy servant have not an imputed mind. And that's very important as you really think about it, because that all falls into uncleanness. Now, going back to the workings of the flesh, lasciviousness, we're going to touch on that, right? Let's look up the etymology. And lasciviousness is a big one too. Now, Salaki, it says unbridled lust, excess, wantonness. So it's just lust and excess of it. Let's go to the book, right? 2 Peter, chapter 2, and verse number 7. Right, and it reads, it says, and deliver just Lot, vexed with the filthy conversation of the wicked, man. So when lust was in Sodom, he was vexed. He didn't like it there. A lot of people secretly like Babylon, man. They fit right in. They have conversations and they change who they are. You can't change who you are in the sight of men. You know, 1 minute, you're this brother that's on fire in the truth. And the next minute, you're damn Terry at work, man. With your hat backwards, your one leg pants up, cigarettes falling out your pocket. You're a different person, man. You should be vexed with this world. It says, with the filthy conversation of the wicked. Now that word filthy, right? I'm going to go into it in the etymology. It's talking about lust. It's not just talking about filthy talk like somebody was just cussing. So that filthiness that Lot was hearing all day long was nothing but sex. Whether it was groans, yelling, moaning, screaming. You know, you may hear stuff on TV. How many of this have you done? And that you're like, oh, this is wicked. Your sister is in the world. She come home. Yeah, girl, and last night, boop, 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 boop. You're like, you're sitting up there, you're vexed with it. You don't even want to hear that, man. It's vexing your spirit. Now, let's go into that word filthy. It says, this same word. Unbridled lust, excessive, lasciviousness. It's the same exact word. But it's filthy, disgusting. And that vexed the righteous, man. So you can't be giving your spirit over to these things. Watching lewd things. It'll overtake your mind and corrupt you, man. Another one is idolatry, right? Matter of fact, let me go back to that. I'm going to touch on that, verse 8. For that righteous man dwelling among them and seeing and hearing. That's the point. And hearing. So he saw certain things, but he also heard certain things. A Lot actually heard man on man, man. He heard that. He heard wickedness of Sodom. You may say, well, I don't know, brother. X, Y, Z. Let's read it, man. Let's go to Genesis chapter 12. 12 and verse 12. Shalakia. Let's go to Genesis chapter 12. I think that's what I want. 13 and 13. That's what I want. Shalakia. Genesis chapter 13 and verse number 13. Right, and it reads. It says, but the men of Sodom were wicked. and sinners before God. So like before the Lord God exceedingly, man. So the men that were actually in Sodom, and we know what happened in the 19th chapter. We know the wickedness that transpired and took place, man. So those men were exceedingly wicked, and Lot was vexed with hearing that. Vexed his righteous soul from day to day with their unlawful deeds. So he saw unlawful things, he heard unlawful things, and his spirit of seeing lasciviousness vexed him. He wasn't indulged with seeing thighs, legs, breasts, groans, bars, railings, banquets, tumults, laughs, parties, drunkenness. He wasn't sitting there like he's taking his work boots off at home, man, making himself right at home. And another one is idolatry, as far as the workings of the spirit. Now, idolatry, we're going to go into it real fast. This idolatry. The worship of false gods, idolatry. Of the formal sacrifice feast held in honor of false gods. Right? So check this out. Let's find out what the worship of gods and idolatry is. Because you could worship gods and on a physical level in idolatry, but you also have something also that's idolatry, which is your flesh, and you make it your God, like the children of Israel did. We're going to go into it. Let's go to Psalm chapter 106. It's the book of Psalms chapter 106, verse number 14. It says, but lusted exceedingly in the wilderness. So when they was in the wilderness, they're supposed to get proved. But in them getting proved, they waxed wantonness and they waxed fulfill their lust and their desires. It says, and tempted God in the desert. So they were lusting in the desert. Lust isn't always sexual. Lust doesn't have to be man with woman, man, or man on man or woman on woman, or something vulgar that you see on the TV screen or phone, man, or laptop. The lust that they did, we're about to read it. And he gave them their request. So the Lord will give you your lust. He'll give you your desire. He'll essentially have you to do whatever you want to do because you don't want to serve me. He'll wash your hands like somebody's mother would. Hey, you keep coming in this house all times of night. I'm going to lock my door if you don't come in here. Yeah. You go out, get drunk and high, and your key stop working. Trying to figure out what the hell is going on, man. Then the shades drop down and the light flick off, man. And you have to call your older brother, man, for him to come and so-called save you, or your uncle. And you just locked out. Figuring what the hell happened. It says, and he gave them their request, but sent leanness into their hearts. And I want to look up that word, leanness. Salaki. I want to look up that word, leanness, real fast. Because the Lord said he sent that into their hearts because they lusted exceedingly. Meaning what? Wasteness, wasting of disease, scarceness. So the Lord sent them scarceness and the wastiness of disease of the mind and gave them over to their lust and their desires. And that's crazy. Gave them the meat, gave them what they wanted because they lusted after it. Keep lusting after that woman, and the Lord's going to give it to you. Give her to you, man. And it's not for you in a righteous manner. It's to destroy you. Keep lusting after that man. The Lord is going to give you that man to utterly do God knows what to you. And now you're sitting up here married in the truth with no way out. You want that so-called job so bad, the Lord will give it to you, man. Well, you should have waited and got something else that the Lord had prescribed for you later on. But through pressing and doing God knows what, now you're in a situation where you're touching unclean foods. You know, whatever the case may be. You may need counsel before you move or buy a vehicle or any situation in your life. By not waiting, the Lord will give you over to that. Because that's essentially what happened when you read verse 13. It says they soon forgot his works. They waited not for his counsel. Meaning they didn't wait for the Lord. And they lusted and they wanted a way out to please their flesh instead of waiting upon the Most High for the Most High to fulfill them, man. Because the Lord will feed you. The Lord will take care of you. You read about that in Hosea, the 2nd chapter. Let me get that real fast. It's the book of Hosea, chapter 2, and verse number 3. It says, lest I strip her naked and set her in the day that she was born, and make her as a wilderness, and set her as a dry land, and slay her with thirst. So the Lord said, if you don't want to get your food, your raiment, your protection from me, I'm going to slay you with thirst, take everything from you, and put you in the wilderness. And if you're in the wilderness, what's going to happen? You're going to take leaves, lentils, bushes, and you're going to cover yourself. And it's not going to be of the Lord. Strange and wicked animals that are unclean, just to keep yourself from freezing to death. And I will not have mercy upon her children, for they are the children of whoredoms. For their mother have played the harlot, and she that conceived them have done shamefully, right? For she said, I will go after my lovers that gave me my bread and my water. And that's spiritual, man. You know what? The Lord ain't provided. I'm always poor. I'm always broke. I'm always catching hell. Man, I'm kind of sick of this truth, man. Hey, I heard XYZ paying good. Hey, I got to play for you. Hit my phone. You know what, man? We miss you. Come around the way. You start getting fed by other avenues that's not of the Lord. Your old friends, old wicked jobs, working on the Sabbath day. Other things can feed you, but is it good for your stomach? Is it practical and logical for you to desire and eat the things of this world, man? Is it actually going to fill you up? Is it the things that you need? Because you could get full off of pork, man. But pork is going to destroy your system. You're going to sin against the Most High spiritually. It's going to beat down your flesh physically. It's going to slow you up mentally, physically, and spiritually. It's going to corrupt you. But after you done burp, popped your damn button on your jeans, and got the itis, you feel good for the moment. But everything ain't about the moment, brother. It's about the kingdom. It's about the long-term effects of these things. Yeah, because you may have that life like Mitch, man. And what's that? Paid in Full. Right? Let me get a picture. That paid in full spirit, man. You want all of the money, all of the fame, all of the women, all of the chains, all of the jewelry, all of the fun. You see this? Let's see if I could get it bigger. It's getting smaller. Hold on. That's probably the closest we could get it. But look at this, man. He got the fame, the spotlight, the women, the money, the admiration, the glory, the fame. You understand? The gold, the cars. Everything a wicked man could ever aspire and want. He's famous. Get shot out as soon as he come into the club. Everybody and their mother know him. So-called tough guy. I mean, but what does that get you in 5 years, man? 10 years? And even tomorrow? Or when this world and the Most High visits it, man? Because this bread and this water and the wool and the flax and oil and drink of things of the society is going to corrupt you, man. It says, my wool and my flax, mine oil and my drink. Therefore, behold, I will hedge up thy ways with thorns. So because you put yourself in this situation by your lust and your flesh, well, brother, the Lord's going to hedge you up, man. And a hedge up could be 50 yards from where you're standing right now, but you don't perceive it, your walk, before you get to those 50 yards, before you get 100 yards out, before you get a mile down the street. You're enjoying that mile, man. You're enjoying this thing. But in actuality, you're coming to an end by being hedged up. It says, and make a wall that she shall not find her paths, man. Now going back to Galatians, right? So you got idolatry. You got also witchcraft. And we're going to touch on that. We're going to touch on witchcraft, man. Let's go to it. It says the use, right, or the administrations of drugs, poisonings, sorcery, magical arts, often found in connection with idolatry. And that's spiritual. Because sorcery and witchcraft is a connection with idolatry. Because it's a spirit behind you always being on your phone. You're always on your phone. You can't put your phone down. It's a spirit behind that, man. It's a spirit behind that TV show you want to binge watch so much. It's a spirit behind that woman that you're courting and you put her above the Most High. It's a spirit behind a lot of things that we dive into, man. Now, sorcery and magical arts could also be tied into disobedience, man. Right, let me get the class. Let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 15. And we're going to go into it. Let's go into it. It's the book of 1 Samuel chapter 15. And I'm going to start at verse number 23. Right, I'm going to start at 22. And Samuel said, has the Lord have great delights in burnt offerings and sacrifices, as in obeying the voice of the Lord? So the Lord wants you to obey him more than all the bells and the whistles, man. The Lord don't care about the bells and whistles. The Lord don't care if you stand out in the cold and you shook their hand for 15 hours straight and you got blood on your hands. You're just dripping blood on everybody, man. All through your sins and your wickedness. And we have to understand that. We have to be clean and pure and obey. That's how we please the Most High. Not by actions and deeds. Actions and deeds with an impure spirit is a hypocrite, man. You have Pharisees that wear fringes. Pharisees that have beards. Pharisees that know the law. They sit in high places. But in actuality, it's the low man or that child that's coming up to get the word, that's obedient, that's listening, that's always ready to ask a question and receive the answer, up for whatever situation comes to them, taking notes, receiving it, actually changing and doing everything they can to magnify the name of the Lord. Behold, to obey is better than to sacrifice, and to hearken than a fat, right, of rams, right? So, I mean, all of these things you have to consider because they'll overthrow you. And that's very important, right? I'm going to go into the next one. Right, Salaki, bear with me. Right, witchcraft. And we know witchcraft also deals with sorcery and deals with tarot card readings, palms, and reading the stars and planets and getting enticed by the things of this world, man. That also ties into all manner of sorcery, man. Well, I'm going to get this quick precept. All right, Salaki, bear with me. I want to tie in this quick precept. Let's go to the book of Job. All right, let me get this quick precept in the book of Job, chapter 31. It's the book of Job, chapter 31, and verse number 24. Right? Salaki, bear with me. Salaki. Right? Job chapter 31 and verse number 24. Right? It says, let me get this real fast. Go down to 24. It says, if I had made gold my hope, or have said to the fine gold, thou art my confidence. So essentially, witchcraft you could put in the cares of this world, man. And you're making gold your hope. And you're bowing down to the gold. You're stealing for the gold. You're doing all manner of sorcery and things eluding you to take you out the spirit for gold. Or I have said to find gold, thou art my confidence. If I have rejoiced because my wealth was great, and because my hand have gotten much, if I beheld the sun, when it shineth, right? Or the moon walking in brightness. Because you could behold the sun and start worshiping it. Start bowing down to Egyptology, getting the understanding and the earth, the wind, the fire, and the elements and the wind. And you're licking your finger, you're putting it up. The wind is blowing this way. That's the goddess of the south. She's speaking to me. I dip my finger in water and it's blowing. And it's a sensation. She must be telling me something. Right? This is sorcery, man. It says, if I beheld the sun when it shine, or the moon walking in brightness, and my heart have been secretly enticed, man. So you can get secretly enticed by these things. And look at the sun. I want to wear a sun chain. I want to wear a moon chain. And I got Saturn, Pluto, the moon, sun. Just call me the galaxy, man. You got the galaxies on your finger, sitting up there. You manifest it like this. It's a ball to come out of nowhere. Just getting this. You're just dealing with sorcery. Or my mouth have kissed my hand. You're sitting up there getting the approvals and bowing down to other men and enticing them through sorcery like Absalom did in 2 Samuel 15. It says, this also were an iniquity to be punished by the judge, for I should have denied the God that is above. So by doing these actions, and I'm touching on slightness of sorcery and witchcraft, because we know dealing with dark cards, cutting yourself, blood, sacrifices, Wisdom of Solomon, the 12th chapter, what the children of Israel did in Leviticus, the 20th chapter, right? Passing their children through Molech and all of these diverse things is sorcery on a high level. But you have sorcery on a low level, man. Let me get Isaiah chapter 47. All right, let's go into it. Isaiah chapter 47 and verse, I'm going to start at, this whole thing is fire. I'm going to just start at 12. It says this, stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. So a lot of people have been doing sorceries from their youth all the way up, and they don't even know it. They don't even perceive it. You got lucky charms, rabbit's foots, four-leaf clovers, grandma's lucky tube socks, your tooth in a damn bag that your mother has in her bottom drawer somewhere, man. Your teeth. I remember you was 8 on this one, you was 11 on this one, and just keeping them, shaking them up, man. Teeth. Like, this is not a mortician, man. You're not a doctor of the dead. I mean, what are you having these things for? There's no tooth fairy. A lot of people have been doing sorcery from their youth on up, man. Don't step on a crack, you break your mama's back, and all manner of things we learn as youth until we get adults that are just enchantments of the world. It says, if so, be thou shalt be able to profit. If so, be thou mayest prevail. I mean, if you could profit and prevail, and go ahead and do those things. Thou art weary in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers, stargazers. So you have astrologers, men that deal in astronomy, right? You got stargazers, finna sit up there with scopes and they look at this and they link that up with that and come up with zodiac signs. Monthly prognosticators, stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee, man. And these men aren't able to save you because they're dealing in sorcery and witchcraft. So a high level of rebellion and not listening to the Lord is created witchcraft, man. You're not listening to your husband is witchcraft. Your husband is not telling you to sin and you're not listening to him because of pride, arrogancy, hatefulness, leaven, pure wickedness, and a pure level of respect for your Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, because of whatever reason and quarrel that you have dealing with your husband, then you're dealing in witchcraft. And that can go the same way. The Lord said to submit ye one another in the Lord, man. It's not just women submitting. You also could submit unto your wife unto what? Unto an opinion. Into coming unto one understanding. And you're always right. And you're always the one. And you're just the brother that just knows it all, man. And you're rebelling against the Most High, man. Because you're not keeping his words. You also have hatred. Hatred is a big thing. Let's go to the book. Let me get the definition of hatred. Going to the etymology. Enmity. So enmity is a big thing, man. Enmity is a great big thing. Let's go to the book of 1 John. Let's go to it. Right? Chapter 3 and verse number 10. And it reads, it says, And this the children of God are manifest, and the children of the devil. So you have the children of God and the children of the devil. Now the children of the devil isn't always what you may think. It's not just talking about Esau. It's not just talking about Cain, man. Let's go to the book of Matthew, the 3rd chapter. Let's go to it. It's the book of Matthew, chapter 3, right? And I'm going to start at 7. And I'm going to read all the way down. It says, but when he saw many of the Pharisees and Sadducees come to his baptism, he said unto them, O generation of vipers, who have warned you to flee from the wrath to come? Meaning you're just doomed, man. Who warned you? It wasn't me. You got certain men just ordained for destruction by their hatred, by their wrath, by their envy. You actually have a 2/3, man. And they're a generation of vipers, meaning they're just like serpents. They're just like Esau. They think the same. They remotely have the same spirit on a lower level because they love to murder their own brother. They love drugs and corrupting their minds the same way these nations do. It says, bring forth fruits meet for repentance, meaning change. And think not to say within yourselves, and he's talking to Israelites, we have Abraham our father. Meaning Abraham isn't going to justify you, man, just because you come out of the loins of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. What precept just say, do whatever you want and sin all day and be proud and condemn the Lord and make yourself above him, but you come out of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, man. For I say unto you that God is able to, of these stones, to raise up children unto Abraham. And the stones are us today. The stones are all of the children of Israel. All of the stones, because stones make what? They build the temple up. And the Lord is saying, don't just think you're just the chief stones of the temple. And the Lord can remove you and bring somebody humbling, somebody lowly, somebody meek, somebody loving, somebody compassionate, somebody not prideful, somebody that actually wants to listen, somebody that's not a boaster of evil things. Because the Lord could raise up stones, meaning children, in diverse places throughout the four corners, in the wilderness somewhere, in the ghettos, the slums, and all of these different diverse places. We've been spread in captivity, man. Right? Going back to it, I'm going to read that on from there. It says, the children of God are manifest, and the children of the devil. Whosoever doeth not righteousness is not of God, neither he that loveth his brother. So if you don't love your brother, you're essentially a murderer, man. And that's really deep when you think about it. You may have brothers that you don't click with like that. And even Yahushua, he took what? Peter, James, and John when he did certain miracles. He didn't take all of the 12. He didn't take Matthew some places. He didn't take Nathaniel some places. He may not have taken certain men like Philip places or whatever the case may be. Nevertheless, he still loved them all. You understand? The same way you got to love your brother. You may have somebody you tight with or a sister you super tight with. You might have a little clique, but don't let that clique put a spirit of respect of person to overthrowing judgment in matters. It's very important. All your brothers are your brothers. All your sisters are your sisters. No matter the age, the weight, the complexion. You understand? Because the complexion will put a spirit on you. Like, I salute this brother. He's brown skin. He's dark skin. Then a northern kingdom brother that looks very fair and light. You know, you're questioning him. You're always sizing him up. And he's going to get beamed up, and you're not, man. Through your hatred, secretly dive deep within your spirit of resentment and hatred, and you don't even know why. Don't ever treat your brother differently than you may treat somebody else. Have a reason for these things. You understand? Execute Matthew, the 18th chapter. Have a reason of respect unto your nation, man, as unto the Lord. Not as Cain, who was of that wicked one and slew his brother, his own brother, man. How can you slay your own brother? It was that Tyler Perry movie. I don't know the name of it, but it was two brothers. Let me see if I can try to find it. I don't know. I think I'm gonna be able to find it. Movie of two brothers. I wouldn't know how to find that movie. It was a movie. If brothers know that movie, it came out that not that long ago. It was two brothers, and one of the brothers hated the other brother, man. He hated him viciously. Let me see if I can find it by just typing in his movies. Let me see. I believe it's a Tyler Perry movie. I could be wrong. Brothers know that movie. He wasn't in this movie being a creep. Tyler Perry wasn't in this movie. He was his dress was blowing behind the scenes. His dress was blowing behind the scenes. I don't know the name of the movie. Somebody said Bloodland. Let me see if that's it. Let me see. Nah, that's not it. Nah, that's not it. But nevertheless, it was this movie. Where it was these two brothers, man. They one of them hated him, man. He essentially rose up and killed his own brother through hatred. Now, I don't want to give away the whole movie, but I would watch that. It's a mean movie, man. It's a fire movie. But nevertheless, it says, and wherefore he slew him, because his own works were evil and his brother's righteous. Sometimes you hate when somebody get the upper hand over you. You hate when somebody's smarter than you. You hate when somebody's taller than you, have more money than you, or may have a beautiful family. This brother's married and you're not. You know, this brother has children and you don't. This brother has more money than you do. Carnal, silly reasons to hate and come against your brother, man. But this brother's talented in diverse things, and I got two left feet, man. I can't really do too much. You know, he's blessed with a lot of talents to magnify the ministry, but I can't. And these things grow hatred and envy to where your own brother's works are righteous and you start to wax and get weak. Marvel not, my brother, if the world hated you. It says this. We know that we have passed from death unto life. Meaning we've all died before, man. That old man is completely in the grave somewhere. And we've risen up a new creature. Because we love the brethren. He that loveth not his brother abideth in death. Whosoever hateth his brother is a murderer. So now it comes from a physical action to a mental action. Because everything dwells deep within your vessel. Before you can commit a murder, it's in your spirit already. Before you hit your woman and go off, you already hated her deep down in your spirit. Before you grabbed her and slammed her and smacked her up, you was already premeditating that deep down. Hey, the so-called white man even call it premeditated murder, man. Because you sit there, you have the blueprints, you have the knife tucked under the bed, you have one of her damn braid locks tied up in a box, and you're sitting up there, you're planning it all out. You got the time she go to work, the time she come home. It's premeditated. Esau kicked down your door, flashlights and guns, and he found this mysterious box. She's going to be home at 9 o'clock. Nobody's going to be home. The 25th. We're going to yank this out. We're going to cut off her power. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. You didn't even kill her yet, man. And you'll get life. They'll kind of throw you behind bars for that, man. That's premeditated murder. That's very serious. Now, the Lord said, this is Mark chapter 7, verse 20. And he said, that which cometh out of a man that defileth. So like it, that which cometh out of a man that defileth the man. From within, so like it, for from within, out of the heart of men proceedeth evil thoughts. So what defiles you is your inwardness, man. Your inwardness defiles you. Adultery start in your mind. You know, that brother, he don't know what to do with that, man. Why did he have to have that beautiful sister? Wow, she pretty. He's ugly. So I kind of see they on the rocks, man. Let me ask her if she needs a ride home. Fornications, lust, murders, hatred of your brother, and physical slaughter. Thefts, you're stealing. And you can steal things by heaping up things in your mind. It gets deep, man. These are your inward thoughts. Everything is in a physical touch. I physically have to grab this. I physically have to grab her. I physically have to do this. I physically have to do that. No thefts. You could be premeditating what you would do with certain things. Man, if I had that money, man, I'd spend it. It's not even yours. Your covetousness, man, which is sin. You're sitting up there thinking of how you would spend your brother's money. Hey, the Lord said in the law not to covet thy neighbor's ox, nor his wife, nor his servants, or anything that is of thy neighbor, man. And you're already premeditating what you would do with these things as if you stole them already. Covetousness. You're heaping up things that you want for yourself, whether it be multiple women, a different life, something not being so strict under the guidelines of what you're used to. You want a different life and maybe a house and a different woman. Just covetousness of all the desires of this land. Wickedness, deceit, lasciviousness, and evil eye. Blaspheme, pride, foolishness. So pride comes within. Well, brother, why don't you want to ride home, brother? It's cold outside. Brother, we know you don't have a car. No, it's all right. I'll make it home. Brother, you live 34 miles away. Stop being prideful. I'm not prideful. I just don't want I don't want anybody to do nothing for me. I don't want to be too much of a burden. Go ahead. Y'all go ahead. I'll be all right on my own. You're sitting up there, you catch what do they call it? Flu. You caught the flu. Finally get home, one of your toes almost fell off. You're plucking it in the shower. It's not responding. You're trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Yo, we got your wife sick, your children sick. And now you're just contemplating life all through your pride. Foolishness. Somebody that joked too much. Just all out in the streets. Just hey, the Lord said a wise man scarcely smile a little, man. You can't have a lot of foolishness with yourself. You're acting like a child. You're not serious. You're not constructing business. It says all these evil things come from within and defile the man. So foolishness defiles you, which essentially goes all the way back. And we're going to the workings of the flesh, which is hatred, man. You got variance. Let's go into variance. Now, variance means contention. Check that out. Strife. So you can have contention, which essentially is what? Is variance. And let's go to the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 1 and verse 10. Because the Lord commanded us all to have the same mind. So if you're having somebody, whether it be a wife, a brother, you understand, a congregation, a child, or anything, a man of a relationship of your brother, you understand, you should have a willing mind to agree with certain things. Now I beseech you, brethren, by the Lord, by the name of our Lord Yahushua, that ye all speak the same thing, and that there be no divisions among you, but that ye be perfectly joined together in the same mind and in the same judgment. So the church of Corinth was all over the place. Some followed Paul, some followed Christ, some followed Peter, some followed different men, you understand? And they were confused on who to follow because it was a spirit on Paul. He was the leader. He was literally the evangelist. He was the disciple, and he was literally the apostle, man, setting up churches. The spirit behind Peter. He was the rock. It's a spirit on our Lord Yahushua. He's the righteous. He's our king. You understand? He's our Lord. So as all of these men that were bumping heads and disputing under what they should do and who they should follow, Paul had to come and set the confusion in order, right? And as you read 2 Corinthians, it further explains as he set the first church in order, which is Corinth, by his second time, you understand, to the second epistle, he says this. It's 2 Corinthians chapter 12 and verse 20. For I fear lest when I come, meaning he came and then he left, but then he's going to come again, I shall not find you as such I would, and that it shall be found unto you such as you would not, lest there be debates, envyings, wrath, strifes, backbitings, whisperings, swellings, and tumults. So Paul is saying, look, man, if I come again and I find y'all in the same estate, then I'm going to lose my mind, man. I fear to the Most High that when I come again, I don't find you in the same estate, that I set things in order with. Because I don't want you to have variance, strife. It says, unless when I come again, my God will humble me among you, and that I should bewail many which have sinned already, and have not repented of the uncleanness and fornication and lasciviousness which they have committed. So Paul's thinking about the next time he comes to this church, because there were variance and strife in the congregation in the church at Corinth, man. And he was coming to set those things in order. So you don't want to have variance. That's another working of the flesh and not of the spirit of the Most High, man. You also have what? Emulation. Now let's go into it. Let's go into that word. Now this right here, it's excitement of mine. Zeal. So you might ask yourself, well, why can't I have zeal? Why can't I have excitement? But you have excitement and zeal in the wrong things that overthrow you. Now you may ask, what do you mean by that? Let's go to Acts chapter 21 and verse 20. Because what are you excited in? Is it the Lord, or is it the excitement and zeal of wickedness? It's the book of Acts chapter 21 and verse 20. Now these are the Jews, right? The circumcision. As Paul's coming into town, these men are zealous for the law. But there's nothing wrong with being zealous of the law, but their zealousness of the law is overthrowing their understanding of what Paul came to do, and they're not receiving it. It says, and when they heard it, they glorified the Lord and said unto him, thou seest, brother, how many thousands of Jews are there, Salakia, there are which believe, and they are all zealous of the law. Man, you better tread light, because these Jews think you're coming to change the law. They think you're coming with some strange doctrine. They think you're coming to switch and turn around things of the law of Moses. And they are informed of thee, meaning you better be prepared, that thou teachest all the Jews which are among the Gentiles to forsake Moses, and saying they ought not to circumcise their children, neither to walk after the customs. Now, Paul was never teaching against the law, man, but they're informed of that. What is it then? So, like, what is it therefore? The multitude must need to come together, for they will hear that thou art come. So these Jews are zealous in a matter to come meet Paul. It's going to be strivings. Somebody could try to kill him. Somebody could overthrow him. So you could be zealous in the wrong matter. You don't want to be zealous and put yourself in a position with excitement with the wrong thing. And that's even with the scriptures. You may not be ready to teach, but you go out there and you say, I'm going to defend the Lord, and you're saying his name. The ancient Paleo-Hebrew. Somebody comes up with more understanding that's a Christian and confounds you. Now you make the whole ministry look bad. So your zealousness and excitement and matters by not being too prudent, all because of your flesh puffed up. So you don't want to be excited and zealous and foolish things and things that'll overthrow you, man. That's not the type of spirit you want to be moving in. Right? Let me get one more. All right. Let me get this quick precept. Okay, I'm gonna have to go to the it's the book of First Maccabees, right? Chapter 5 and verse 55. It says, now what time as Judas and Jonathan were in the land of Gilead, and Simon his brother in Gilead before Ptolemy, right? Joseph, the son of Zacharias, and Azarias, captains of the garrison, heard of the valiant acts and warlike deeds which they had done. Therefore, they said, let us also get us a name. So they wanted to be zealous. They was excited. They said, look, let's go get us a name. Let's go to war and go fight against the heathen that are round about us. So when they had given charge unto the garrison that was Salakia with them, they went toward Jamina. So, I mean, essentially, what happened to these men? We're going to read it. It says, Joseph, the son, Salakia, I'm going to read all the way down. Wherefore they said, let us go get us a name and fight against the heathens that are round about us. So when they had given charge unto the garrison that was with them toward Gemina, they came to Jorgias, the men of the city, and fight against them. So as they fought against them, Salakia, bear with me. Reading on. It says, Salakia. And so when, let me see. And so when I was, Salakia, that Joseph and Azariah were put to flight and pursued unto the borders of Judah. So these men got put to flight and got beat, and their army got taken down. All because their zealousness, their excitement, and everything they were moving in, and fervence of spirit, and embracing and pursuing and defending of anything wasn't of the Lord. So you can step out on your own lust and compassion with your own spirit to do something that's not of the Lord through your vehement zeal, but it's not going to be justified. So that's something also you have to watch out for, man. Whether that be striving, you think you're always right, your excitement in something, it may not be profitable in what you're excited about. And the Lord may look down at that, man. You got wrath. Now, wrath, I mean, that's a big one. A lot of people have wrath. Passion, angry, heat, anger, forthwith boiling up. Check that out, man. So you have anger in this thing, man. And anger overthrows you. Now, going to wrath, let's go to 1 Kings. Salakia. Yeah, let's go to 1 Kings. Chapter 12. We'll go to that real fast. It's the book of 1 Kings, chapter 12. And I'm going to start at verse 9. And it reads, it says, and he said unto them, what counsel give ye that we may answer this people? So, Salakia, who has spoken to me, saying, make the yoke which thy father did put upon us lighter. So Rehoboam is in a situation where we can help the nation, but he's not helping the nation. He's afflicting the nation. He's showing them wrath. He's showing them anger. He's showing them a heavy hand. He's showing them oppression. It says, and the young men that were grown up with him spake unto him, saying, thus shalt thou speak unto this people that spake unto thee, saying, thy father hath made our yoke heavy, but make thou it lighter unto us. So they're asking for a way out of this thing. Thus shalt thou say unto them, my little finger shall be thicker than my father's loins. And I'm going to show you wrath and hatred and oppression. And I'm going to be even worse. And now whereas my father did lay you with heavy yoke. So you may be in a position as a father, as a husband, as a camp leader, or as a brother, man. And you can afflict oppression. You can make things burdensome. You can show wrath. You can show hatred. These are a lot of things that brothers do, man. I will add to your yoke. My father hath chastened you with whips, but I will chasten you with scorpions. So, I mean, this Rehoboam was off, man. He just wanted to afflict pain and more pain and show more wrath and show more hatred, man. You want to move in a wrathful spirit where you're getting overthrown, man. And not only is the yoke heavy, but he said, I'm going to chasten you with whips on top of that. And I'm going to chasten you with scorpions. So you don't want to do that in a wrathful spirit, man. You want to be calm, collective. Take 2 steps back and 7 steps back and actually pray, read, or just get the hell out of there, man. Sometimes you may not be in the spirit to pray and read at the exact moment. By spirits troubling your mind, thinking 5 and 12 different things, just escape. Get out of there. Get a fresh breath or whatever the situation there is and pray to the Most High when you got your head straight. You understand? Or if you're strong enough, pray in the furnace of adversity. You have to flee from sin as from the face of the serpent, like the Lord said. So you got strife. So strife is another one, man. There's strifes in couples, marriages. You understand? Strifes within households and congregations. You don't want to go back and forth in a strifeful manner. Now, let's go to Philippians. and that may be easier said than done a lot of the times. But nevertheless, it's not always who got the last word. And it's not always, who's the bigger man, who's beating on his chest and who can win, understand the battle. It's about winning the war. You don't want to overthrow yourself by your lust and your flesh to speak and disrespect somebody, offending one of the little ones, disrespecting your household, or disrespecting a brother, man, on the highways and byways, or however it's brought forth through striving back and forth in diverse matters. It says, I beseech Epaphroditus and beseech Centria that they be of the same mind in the Lord. So, essentially, let me see if I can get this. Pull this up real fast. These were two women that were at odds in the gospel, and they were striving once against another. And the Lord said, I pray ye that ye are both of the same mind. So these women, it says a Christian woman at Philippi. So it was a woman, and then it was another woman, and they just beefing. A female member of the church of Philippi. So these women had to have some big quarrel or some strife between one another. For Paul just to say, I pray that you two sisters be of the same mind. You don't want to have two sisters beefing. One sister believes this, the other sister believes that, and I hate this sister. She thinks she fly. She always the one at the feast days with the tall hair wrap. She always want to match. She not the only one that can sew. Who she thinks she is. Nobody cares she has children. Nobody cares she has a husband and I don't. Why she's always taking all of these pictures. She's always trying to be seen. Just hatred. Just going back and forth. Always want to have the last word, the last laugh. Always be right spirit. You don't want to have that. You want to be of the same mind in the Lord, man. And that comes with being humble. Because strife is going to gender nothing but confusion, nothing but wrath and destruction. You have seditions. Now, seditions is a big thing too, man. Right? Let me get that real fast. We're looking up all of these words in the etymology. We get the meaning behind them and going to the precepts. They're going to them, man. And wrath is extremely serious. But that's going to it. So bear with me. It's going to seditions. So you have seditions. Means what? Divisions. Divisions amongst people. Let's go to the book of Job. Because essentially Job and his friends, they were at odds, man. They were beating down Job with bad counsel. And Job had to defend himself to the point where he felt like he had to stand up for himself, which essentially got looked at as he was justifying himself with proud speech. Let's go to the book of Job, chapter 32. It's the book of Job, right? Chapter 32 and verse number 3. And it reads, also against his three friends was his wrath kindled, because they had found no answer, and yet condemned it, Job, man. So, you can have wrath as Elihu did against these three men, which caused the division. It says, now Elihu waited till Job had spoken, because they were elder than he. When Elihu saw that there was no answer in the mouth of these three men, then his wrath was kindled. So he's angry. And Elihu, the son of Berachel, the Bizite, answered and said, I am young, and yet and ye are very old. Wherefore I was afraid and durst not shew my opinion. I say days should speak, and multitude of years should teach wisdom, but there is a spirit in man, and the inspiration of the Almighty that giveth him understanding. Great men are not always wise. So Elihu's setting these elders straight, because they're coming against Job. They're giving bad advice and bad counsel. And sometimes you got to set people straight, because they give you bad advice. They create divisions. They create things, and you got to rebuke those things. So Job did what? He lost his family. You understand? His children. He lost his cattle. His whole visage was changed with bumps and scabs and all hell breaking loose. And after your children are dying, this is what your friend tells you. Let's go to the book of Job, chapter 8, and verse number 2. I'm going to start at 1. It says, Then answered Bildad the Shilite and said, this is supposed to be his friend, and they're supposed to be mourning. How long wilt thou speak these things? And how long shall the words of thy mouth be like a strong wind? Doeth God pervert judgment? Or doeth the Almighty pervert justice? If thy children have sinned against him, and he hath cast them away for their transgressions, if thou wouldest seek unto God bedtimes, and make thy supplications to the Almighty, if thou wert pure and upright, surely now would he await for thee. That's damn near mocking your friend. That's like your friend, car just got repossessed, his mother just died, and his wife has cancer. And you come up with counsel, disputing and just, well, brother, surely if you were pure and upright, the Lord will answer you. Yeah, I guess he's not answering your prayers. Guess he's not really being there for you. Guess you're not as wise and smart and perfect as you think. And then his other friend confirming. Then his other friend just sitting up there getting on Job, man. And it causes a division between the friendship. Into the 32nd chapter where Elihu comes in, man. The youngest of them all, which sets all of the elders straight, you understand, through the spirit. In chapter 42, the Most High was getting on his friends for the wicked counsel, the advice, and the division between the brethren that should have been counseling Job in an upright manner to build up and lift up his spirit. Though thy beginning was small, yet thy latter end should greatly increase. Now, what kind of advice is this? You should have told everything's going to be all right through the spirit. I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to read with you. Does God pervert judgment? Like they deserved it. It is what it is. And if you were righteous, he'll awake and listen to your prayers and give you those things, or it wouldn't have never happened. That creates division amongst friends. How you talk, how you move, how you approach certain situations, your discernment, all of these things can overthrow and create a division, man, amongst friends, families, households, congregations. You also have what? Heresies. Now, I want to go into that word, heresy. Now, heresy, right? Salaki. Make sure I click the right word. All right, you got heresy. Act of taking, capture, storming a city, choosing choice, that which is chosen, a body of men following their own tendencies. So you have a party of the Sadducees, Pharisees, and Christians. So it's like a choosing, a storming of a city, a bunch of men, a set or a party on the same understanding. But the Lord said, when an unruly multitude gets together, it's nothing but evil, man. The Lord told you not to follow them that do evil. Let's go to Exodus chapter 23 and verse 1. Let me just get straight to the point, verse 2. Thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil. So if everybody's running and everybody's screaming, let's go to this event. This is going to be this there and that there and this there. Why aren't you the only one not running? Why are you not coming? You can't follow that set and that party and that crowd in that situation for evilness, man. You have to stand up for righteousness. Like the whole church of Corinth, they were all going off. Paul had to come and set those men in order, man. He had to straighten up the heresies in that thing. It says, neither shall thou speak in the cause to decline after many to wrestle judgment. So let's go into it. Let's go to the book of Acts chapter 23 and verse 6. It's the book of Acts chapter 23 and verse number 6. All right, and it reads, but when Paul perceived that the one part were Sadducees and the other part Pharisees. So the Sadducees don't believe in spiritual things. They don't believe in the angels, the resurrection. All they believe is the law and carnal things with their bodily eyes. While the Pharisees both believe in spirit, you understand, they believe in the resurrection and the law. It says he cried out in the council, men and brethren, I am a Pharisee, the son of a Pharisee, of the hope and resurrection of the dead I am called in question. And when he had said, so like it's so said, there arose a dispensation between the Pharisees and the Sadducees. You don't want to have a house divided. Your husband believes this, but you believe that. Half of your congregation believe in mermaids, the other half doesn't. Huh? One half wants to stay into 9, the other half is leaving early. You have to be together on matters with the same mind and the same spirit. And the multitude was divided. So how are we going to have war and structure and leadership and men guiding one another, and we're all moving and following Yahweh Shai our Lord in the wilderness if there's multitudes divided? If there's parties that believe this and that, like Dathan and Korah in the wilderness that rose up against Moses, and all of the princes and all of those men that got destroyed. When a body or sect gets divided, you can't divide. That's what Esau wants you to do. Take the woman, take the child. Y'all live over here. I give you Section 8. I'll make it easy for you. The husband, he got to do this. He got to make all these other families. Let's divide them up. Let's split them up. And the Lord is against those things, man. We have to stay together mentally, spiritually, and we have to grow, man, in this thing, man. What's the use of just having flowers? It's much more beautiful seeing a garden, seeing a vineyard, seeing multiple grapes and multiple, diverse vegetables and things, man. It says, for the Sadducees say there is no resurrection, neither angel nor spirit, but the Pharisees confess both. So you don't want to have anything that's choosing, a body of men, a separation, and all of these different things, because why? It's the workings of the flesh, man, which will overthrow you. You also got envying. Let's dive into it. All right, we're about to get this through the spirit. You got envying. It says what? Salagi. Okay, just says envy. Right, in the precepts for envy. Right? It says Matthew 15:10, for he knew that the chief priests had delivered him for envy. So they delivered up the Lord, man, because of the envy. Envy can overthrow you, man. And you can't have envy towards your brother. That's off, man. That's wicked. His success is my success. Whatever he's doing and excelling in through the spirit, I should be happy with, man. However, the Lord increased him. Essentially, his increasement should be able to help me, and whatever blessing and mercy and understanding he has to be able to deliver that knowledge to me, man. So this is the book of 1 Samuel chapter 18. This is the chief definition of envy. And I'm going to start at verse 6. It says, and it came to pass, as they came, when David was returned from the slaughter of the Philistines, that the woman came out of all cities of Israel, singing and dancing to meet King Saul, with tabrets, with joy, and with instruments of music. You got a bunch of women singing, dancing. You got tabrets, joys, music, damn parade, man. And the woman answered one to another. So like one another as they played, and said, Saul have slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s. So as woman is playing, they putting a spirit on everything, man. That's like you and your brother walking down the street. You name T and he named G, right? And they like, oh, G is so better than T. G is so better than T. He's like, well, you put a spirit on it, and everybody dancing to it, and it's a parade and confetti. It put a spirit on it. You start hating them in your heart. You start looking at them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember last week you didn't give me that money back. You know what? Never really did like you like that, man. Because you always thought you was better than me. And this is proving it, man. The spirit is coming out. You start double thinking, you start hating your brother and showing envy. That's the spirit Saul had. Instead of rejoicing that David had wrought victory, what did he do? He let women get inside of his head. He let the multitude get inside of his head. Hey, a lot of people, so-called rappers, they start beef off of social media because a fan base says NBA young boy is better than Kodak Black, or damn Biggie said he's better than Tupac, and who's the better rapper, and his pose and his What are you thinking? It's east versus west. It put a spirit on stuff, and envy starts to grow. Hatred starts to grow, and you don't even perceive it, man. It says this: and Saul was very wroth, and the saying displeased him. David had nothing to do with this. David didn't orchestrate the choir. He didn't have a robe on. He wasn't blowing a trumpet. He was minding his business. And he said, they have ascribed unto David 10,000. And to me, they have ascribed but 1,000. And what can he have more but the kingdom? So now he's letting these things destroy his mentality through these spirits, man. Spirit came down on Saul, which is spiritual because he didn't get that spirit off of him. And in the morning, he tried to kill David. And that's why it's very important as the sun goes down to get that wrath and that demon off of you, man, like Ephesians say, chapter 4, verse 26. Let's get that real fast. And sometimes you got to go back to the basics to stand to this truth, to grow. Stop thinking so deep and far ahead of things that don't pertain to you that you'll never be able to grasp because you're not grasping the milk and essentially keeping it, man. The Lord said, it's the book of Ephesians 4 and 26, be ye angry, just like Saul was, and sin not. Once you start talking to yourself in your mind, Satan has you. You know, your woman does some disrespect. Yeah, that blank, blank, blank. Yeah, man, I gotta get out of here, man. I gotta get me another wife. You start talking to yourself, start entertaining those emotions. Those spirits start to tremble and shake you up, and you don't know what the hell is going on anymore. You're dizzy. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath. So what happened to Saul? Don't think these are new commandments that Paul is giving out, man. It says, Salakia, what could I have more but the kingdom? And Saul eyed David from that day forth. So he's eyeing David on that day forth. And it came to pass on the morrow that the evil spirit from God came upon Saul. Meaning he had a troubling spirit, emotional envy spirit. He had a spirit on him already, but the sun went down. He didn't get that spirit off of. He didn't cleanse himself. He didn't pray. He didn't confess his faults. You know what he did? He laid in his bed in anger, in agony, in wrath, and the workings of the flesh, which built up over time. And in the morning, he started to manifest his emotions through an evil demon. From God came upon Saul, and he prophesied in the midst of the house. And David played with his heart. It was like with his hand. And David has no idea what's going on. He's minding his business. As at other times, and there was a javelin in Saul's hand. And Saul cast the javelin, for he said, I will smite David even to the wall with it. And David avoided out of his presence twice. So David doesn't even know what's going on. Imagine you come home and your husband throws a javelin at you, man. Salakia. And you may not know what that is, man. But we gonna get it. This is a javelin. And Saul was a very, very tall man. Imagine Saul throwing this at you, man. I'm led to believe it was way heavier than these light Olympic javelins that they have. It had some weight onto it. Because they were warriors. Like the Africans, they have spears and things, but we the children of Israel, like this right here. Like they would have in the ancient world to kill people with. And they would take a literally a javelin and they would throw that thing to smite somebody with it. With one smite and one throw to kill them. You know, not to bruise their arms, not to give them a tough tough awakening call, but to destroy them. And look at this man from Kenya, man, throwing that damn javelin. So when Saul was coming against David to kill him, David was minding his business, and through the breath of his hair, he probably got out of there, man, through the mercy of the Most High. But all of that grew through what? We're going to go back to it. Salaki. through envying. So you can't envy one another. And understand how important that is not to have these spirits start to manifest. You have murders, drunkenness, and railings. Now, we kind of covered murders already through the spirit, earlier with hatred. But nevertheless, you have murders, you have drunkenness. Now that we got to touch on. We have to touch on drunkenness. Intoxication. Now, drunkenness isn't always physical intoxication because you have spiritual drunkenness, man. And that's not just talking about you're in the world and you don't know who you are. Because you could be drunk, worshiping your flesh, drunk off your own desires and don't perceive it. It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 23 and verse 20. Be not among wine bibbers. And that's spiritual too, man. Because you could be among wine bibbers that love doctrines, that love to strife, that love debates all the time. He's always in a debate. Always in a debate. She's got a debate spirit. Let me go to this quick precept. Matter of fact, this inside right. Let me just get the whole chapter. It's the book of Sirach, chapter 28, right? And I'm going to start at verse. This whole thing is fire. I'm going to start at 9, but I'm going to start at 8. Abstain from strife, and thou shalt diminish thy sins. For a furious man will kindle strifes. A sinful man disquieteth friends, and maketh debate among them that be at peace. You have certain people, they make debate among people that are at peace. And what do wine bibbers do? They're loud, they're raucous, they're always right, they're ruining an event, they're always loud. The Lord said, don't be among wine bibbers, man. People that drink too much. You can be intoxicated with different diverse understandings, just drinking all the time. Got a green book, a purple book, a yellow book. You're mixing them all together. Which one I'm going to read today? He's a wine bibber on a spiritual level, man. He's sitting up there indulged in Egyptology, Christianity, Islam, and the understanding of the truth. He's a wine bibber among raucous eaters of flesh. So you have certain men, they're raucous eaters of flesh. And the Lord already told you in the book, right, of Proverbs, chapter 23 and verse 1, right? If thou be disposed to go to a dinner, put a knife to thy throat, lest thou be a man given to appetite, paraphrasing. It says, when thou sittest to eat with a ruler, consider diligently what is before thee. And that's spiritual. It's not talking about the steak and the lamb and which one do I eat. It's, okay, is this profitable unto me? Should I read this? No, is this understanding according to the Most High? That's what you diligently look. And put a knife to thy throat. Meaning, rather kill yourself than to pick up something that's other than the Lord. To indulge in a different understanding. Thus saith the Lord. If thou be a man given to appetite. And if you're given to appetite, you like to drink. And you like to eat. And you're a wine bibber and you're a raucous eater on a spiritual level. For the drunkenness and the glutton shall come to poverty. So if you're spending up all your money on things that are not going to fill you up, you're going to come to poverty. Imagine a grown man just all he buys candy all day. Mr. Good Bar, Snickers, Skittles, Three Musketeers. He just in a candy aisle just wreaking havoc, man. He eat it all, now his stomach hurt. He's earling up and he's not full. And that's what a lot of people do. They think certain things are sweet to their liking and they eat them and their stomach is overthrown. And they come to poverty. And drowniness shall clothe a man with rags. So I'm going to get this other quick precept. All right, so like, bear with me. I'm going to go to First Esdras, right, chapter 3. First Esdras chapter 3, verse number 18. And it reads, and he said, thus, O ye men, how exceedingly strong is wine, a cause of all men to error that drink it. And that's talking about spiritually. Because Yahushua drank wine. And he didn't error in anything. So this has to be something deeper and darker than what seems to be on the surface level. It maketh the mind of the king and the fatherless child to be all one. Now you may think that's a good thing to all be of the same mind, but not on the left hand side. Because if he's thinking evilness, he's thinking craftiness, he's thinking manipulation, she's thinking strife, and he's thinking wrathfulness, and they're all drinking of the same understanding, then that's going to gender death. It's going to gender sin and iniquity, man. Of the bondmen, of the freemen, and of the poor man, of the rich. It turneth also every thought into jollity. You don't want to have every thought that you have jollity. That's complete madness, man. If you're always happy all the time, you're a fool. Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad. You know, you're sitting up here, our people are dying, getting destroyed, manipulated, their mind controlled through sorcery and education of the so-called white man. You're sitting up there jolly all day. Like one of the Wayans brothers, just cracking jokes all day. Like Marlon, man. Where you at, man? You just want to be Marlon. Just a goofball. Don't know who he is, his nationality. Just want to joke all day, man. Nobody wants a. Look at this. And dressing up like women and going to laugh bars and clubs and just jollity all day. Like a kid. A kid want to have fun all day. A kid don't want to pay no bills. A kid not thinking about stress. A kid not thinking about the enemies. He's in the land of his captivity. He's thinking about fun and joke all day, man. And dancing and candy and music. He's not thinking about stress. He's not thinking about responsibilities of certain things that befall him, man. And look at him. Just cracking jokes, holding himself. You can't have your mind to be engulfed in jollity all day, man. And the house of mirth, like the brother said. Going back to it. And mirth, so that a man remember neither sorrow nor death. And you can't live in a world to where you don't remember sorrow and death, because you'll be easily influenced to have fun in America, for it to drag you in. That's what America's made for, man. It's not made for you to look at it as the beast and I understand the truth since I'm born. This is not right. No, it's made to pull you in. For things to be jollity with parades, bars, music, dancing, rap, little baby, things to distract you, celebrities, actresses, actors, and all of these things, they have you to forget sorrow and death. If you actually looked and saw things and not be so distracted with this world through Kyrie Irving, Kanye West, LeBron James, and all these diverse rappers, and your mind was more focused on what actually is happening with the US dollar dropping, you understand? Northern Kingdom still being locked up unjustly, and people getting put to death and hung still in the South. You want to understand that nothing's a damn joke, man. And it maketh every heart rich, so that man remembereth neither king nor governor. And who's the king and the governor, man? Let's talk about it. Our Lord Yahweh Shah, he's the king. He's the governor of the earth. And you don't remember him anymore because you're drunk off of Esau's wine. And on a spiritual, it's like on a physical level, you could be a drunkard. Just drinking all day, man. You become this guy. Where's your mother at? Spirit? Where's your auntie? Your grandmother forgot something in my car. Just a drunkard. And a wino. And a fool. Because this is essentially what you become when you get drunk. You laugh at everything. You think everything's funny. You don't want to never go home. You just want to stay to the part the lights come on. Until they kick you out. Okay, it's time to go. 6 a.m. We closed an hour ago. Wake up. So, I mean, these things befall the wicked, man. Even on a physical level. It says, and it maketh to speak all things by talents. And when they are in their cups, they forget their love both to friends and brethren. And a little after draw out swords. So you'll be ready to fight off the wine. You'll be ready to hate your brethren and forget your king, your lord, your governor, your understanding. And all of these things happen, man, to the wicked. So you have to be watchful in the amount that you drink, man. And that's talking about philosophies and it's talking about physical drinking because it'll overthrow you. Anything you have too much of, it could overthrow you. And the Lord said, eat honey as sufficient unto thee. Try to study the whole book of Amos, read the whole book of Matthew, the whole book of John, the whole book of First Corinthians, and then finish off Revelations all in one night, man. You're not going to retain all of that. You're not going to remember it. You're going to be stressing, sleepy. Should have took notes. You're all to the next thing. And what does this precept really mean? I don't have time to go into it. I have to read more. It'll overthrow you, man. Everything has to be in order, has to be in quantity, has to be in a just balance. You have revelings. It's another workings of the flesh. Let's go into it. Now, revelings is what? Riotous, half drunken, right? Parades, streets, torches. It's like a festival. You want to have a riotous. It's like a reveling spirit. Now, a Peter warned you about having a reveling spirit. Don't think that a party is what they would say harmless. No, it's going to creep on you. They're vultures and all manner of freaks and deviant demons and spirits in dark rooms and bars and people putting pills in your drinking and demonic music in a wave that's hitting everybody, causing their body to move. And it's a spirit and demon in there, man. And on torches. Like the KKK, they're all in one mind, reveling to destroy or burn something. Or what do they call it? Looting, man. Everybody want to loot. Right? It's the Rodney King, helicopters, throwing rocks in the damn building. Everybody rottweists and damn revelings and stealing TVs and all hell breaking loose, man. It says, it's the book of 1 Peter 4 and verse 2, that he no longer lived the rest of his time in the flesh. So all of our forefathers talked about the flesh. From Sirach, you understand, to Samuel, to Peter. All of them talked about it. Paul, to the lust of men, but to the will of God. For in time past, our life may have sufficed unto have wrought the will of the Gentiles. Meaning everybody fell short with some manner of wickedness in their past life, man. When we walked in lasciviousness, lust, excess of wine. These are the same things that Paul talked about, man, which are the workings of the flesh. Revelings, which are nothing more than banquets and abominable idolatries. So what is a banquet? Let me go to it real fast. Because a banquet is like a purgatorium, a so-called party. Let's go to it. It's the word banqueting in the Greek. A drinking, conversing. Now, going someplace to drink is nothing more than a bar and a club. Now, Peter isn't going to say, don't go to the bar and the club. He's not going to say that. But that's what happens at banquetings. That's not talking about at your mother-in-law's house where y'all having something to drink. And y'all have the TV on and a little bit of music playing and just talking about the scriptures or everyday life. And y'all just catching up. That's not what that's talking about. A banquet is a group of people. Where they get drunk, playing music, partying, sex, violence, drugs, VIP rooms, demonic lights, wicked energy and spirits, smoke. concerts. I mean, some of these things, when you actually look into it, and some of these events, they lead to death. People get shot at them. People get stampede under. I believe at a Travis Scott concert, so some people got damn trampled to death, man. So when these groups of large people come together in the spirit, it's not of the Lord. It's a gathering of an unruly multitude, man. And abominable idolatries, wherein they think it strange that ye run not with them to the same excess of riot, speaking evil of you. So they speak evil when you don't come to the concerts and the revelings and the parties and the clubs and the venues and the kickbacks and all manner of things. You understand that the children of men do, man, in their drunkenness and their will to please the flesh. It says, and such like of that which I tell you before, that I have also told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of God. So if you're doing any of these things, you understand, from idolatry, right? You got fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulation, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, murders, drunkenness, railings. All of these diverse things are going to keep you out of the kingdom of heaven, man. And you can't let these things overthrow you by pleasing your flesh. So I have to purge these things out as a new creature, right? Let me get this last closing precept. Let me go to the book of Revelation, right? Chapter 3 and verse number 2. And it reads, be watchful and strengthen the things which remain that are ready to die. So if things are remaining in you as far as your spirit to pray, read, fast, and be diligent and take care of your business as a man of the Lord and continue to watch, strengthen that up before it dies off. For I have not found thy works perfect before God. Remember, therefore, how thou hast received and heard, and hold fast and repent. If therefore thou shalt not watch, I will come on thee as a thief, and thou shalt not know what hour I will come upon thee. So the Lord's going to visit you like a thief in the night, when you least expect it, when you're doing God knows what, entertaining God knows what, that sight, that thought, that emotion, that spirit, that demon, and not purging it out because you're entertaining what? The workings of the flesh, because they're manifested, man. You have to get rid of those things and be a new creature every day in Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, man. But with that, Lord willing, we want to do a part 2 of the fruits of the spirit that bring life, peace, and direction to your life and a clearer understanding. But to them through the spirit, Lord willing, this was edifying. I want to give all honor and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, B'Shem Mashiach, wa Malak Yahushua. Shalom.